call, I can say, now you can start shopping for a house instead of shopping for an agent. And that is enough usually, because shopping for an agent is the result of the portal experience, and I do think that it's stressful for a lot of people. They feel hounded at open houses, they're getting 1 billion emails from 1 million different search portals, they're doing all the work themselves. It's no wonder they feel like, what's the value of the buyer agent? Because they're searching, they're finding, they're calling listing agents, they're setting up appointments. If you end the call, I can say, now you can start shopping for a house instead of shopping for an agent. And that is enough usually, because shopping for an agent is the result of the portal experience, and I do think that it's stressful for a lot of people. They feel hounded at open houses, they're getting 1 billion emails from 1 million different search portals, they're doing all the work themselves. It's no wonder they feel like, what's the value of the buyer agent? Because they're searching, they're finding, they're calling listing agents, they're setting up appointments.
Because he always liked to get his hands dirty, and when you shake his hand, he's a working man. He gets down with the workers and digs the ditches. So he's up there with road graders and bulldozers. He's built 500 miles of roads. He's built 150 ponds. The hydropower, the water power provides all of the electricity. Just an amazing sort of thing. But then I did get it. He has decided that he has one more chapter. And so he's decided to spend the next 10 years, one, creating incredible asset. And in fact, the county came to him, as much as he doesn't like the government, and offered him $500 an acre if he would plant 20,000 trees, which he's doing. And I harass him about that. I say, well, that sounds like a contradiction, but whatever. Once I got that, I was thinking about it, I said, gosh, you don't stop when you're here. And I had all these wacko ideas, and my son, who you saw the picture of Cal, he always kind of sets me straight. The cycle of life, we spend our lives giving them advice, and we get older, they give us good advice. He said, Dad, because I was thinking, maybe I'll create a fund, a $100 million fund, and go out and buy depressed luxury real estate. He said, Dad, you don't know anything about investing in real estate. You like to buy houses, but you're not a sophisticated investor. You don't know what you're doing. And then one day, I'm sitting across from a woman named Georgina. And Georgina is a friend of mine who worked her way up, born and raised in Queens, working girl, and that came out wrong. She really tough, interesting woman, joined Citicorp right out of college and worked her way up to a very, very high level, and straight shooter, direct, powerful, really strong woman. And she and I were talking one day, and we were having this conversation, kind of competing, who has the best healthy shake in the morning? And she said, I use oat milk. And I said, I use water. And she uses little seeds here. And I put psyllium husk. And as we were doing this, I looked at her and I said, Georgina, what in the hell are we talking about?
Having a full gamut of all of these different financing options of how it's the last 3 years since I've been doing this, what the peaks and valleys are. And, in spring these are popular, in fall these are popular, when the market looks like this, when interest rates are like this, all these different solutions. It's kind of just like this ongoing roller coaster of what is more popular when. And the only way to ensure that you're doing the best thing for your client is to make sure that you have access to all of those. So you can't just pick them out when you need to.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's a great conversation.
Thank you so much.
Right? Yep. So what are the alternatives that exist that actually help allow people to behave more like cash buyers?
Yeah, so specifically I'll speak to 𝐬𝐬's solution, and we have worked with, previous to having our own solution, we worked with all of the other different companies that had different types of cash products. And so specifically what it allows, and I think, the title of this panel is interesting when you compare it to iBuyers. They were villainized a little bit, and we don't have to name names or anything like that, but I think it's very interesting to compare the two, because what the cash buyer solutions like 𝐬𝐬's or some of the others do is they actually allow the average consumer to look like an iBuyer, right? To appear with cash. We come in, we purchase the home with cash on behalf of that person, they buy it back from us. And obviously there's a convenience charge in there for the end client, but it allows them, it's real cash, the cash offer is in, our name, it's not in the client's name, but it allows them to appear like they're buying a $500,000 home in cash, even though, of course, not many people have that $500K in the bank.
And that just gives them a window during which they can get the financing to buy it back from you. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, using Sean as an example, they'd get approved with you as their loan officer. We do due diligence on our end, approve them for the program. We purchase the home, and what the most common use case for this is someone who's buying and selling at the same time, right? So it not only allows them to be more competitive on the buy side in cash, but they actually don't have to worry about listing their home until after they purchase their new one. So everyone's excited about buying, right? It's like that's the fun part. You get to go shopping, so it allows them to do that part first. They can list within a couple weeks of doing the cash transaction. But yes, ultimately at the end of the day, which I love about this product, is that they're getting a loan with their trusted loan officer. So it is still a finance solution, but it appears like cash, and there is real cash involved.
I mean, what appeals to a seller or a seller's agent with cash is speed and certainty, right? Like that's a perception of cash. And, in the past, the mortgage world and the finance world in general has come so far, just even in the last 5 years. In the past, it was thought, if a mortgage deal is going to take 30, 45 days, there's all these hurdles they got to jump through. Technology advancement.
Please welcome Piper Moretti and Shelley Vincent.
I love it. People stayed for this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Last day.
So I am Piper Moretti. I am broker, owner of the Crypto Realty Group.
I am Shelley Vincent. I'm Vice President of Operations and Employing Broker for HomeSmart Colorado, and I'm Vice Chair of RE Colorado.
Yeah, and so just a disclaimer, we are putting a 2-hour presentation in 15 minutes about something you know absolutely nothing about. So it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. So bear with us and please keep an open mind and feel free to take screenshots. I'm also going to have this on my website.
Yeah. And any of these larger language models and in terms of what GPT can do. So I think even from that lens, this question of what should we be doing with our data? What's best for everyone? I'm very curious, Derek, particularly because I think you're building a business that's maybe more about smaller groups of people having access to data.
Yeah, I think the way we're approaching it is that the sellers have different needs, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. So I think that's one of the challenges with some of the regulations around MLSs and posting and public sharing of these off markets. It's not giving the agent a tool to respond to the specific needs of the customer. And you see the likes of the iBuyers that are filling this void pre-MLS, and they're able to do so. And I just have a strong belief that as a realtor since 2009, the realtor should have a tool in their back pocket that can help them respond. So we see
demand of existing homeowners, but there's a lot of first-time home buyers who are ready to go on the sideline. They want to get in. It's normally, on average, a third of the marketplace. So you think over the last few years, that number has just been accumulating. So we think that the trickle will become a torrent at some point, and we need to get ready for that. I do think that perhaps the mind and mood that we've seen in some of our research is that there is perhaps anxiety that when the market does open up, that it could have a negative impact on home prices. We don't necessarily the brand. And I think that there's a lot more that we can do through those brands, not only to grow audience and to grow a relevant audience, an audience that sticks. And I think that high intent audience is a really important quality indicator for our business, and we think that we do very well on that. But not only to grow that audience, but also to increasingly play a role to educate the public, particularly with today's news media agenda, I suppose, as the value of real estate professionals.
Now we've got an invasion of young people in Inman over the last 10 years. It started in the last recession when the young, new, innovative brokers, they went online and they said, what can I relate to? And they happened to relate to us more than they are, which was great. And what we think they did. And they're a big part of our community, but they're kind of I'd say now they're the Gen Xers, you know? And it's so good to see you. By the way, if you don't know about Susan, she's been at Zillow a long time, but also she was an entrepreneur. So for all the people out there starting prop tech companies who often in these kind of environments are struggling as much as agents and brokers, and they put it all on the line and they start out with their personal credit card. I know Susan did, I know I did. And just like agents, and there were no corporate big shots taking care of us, same with realtors. So for all the people out there, get through these knotholes and you'll be like Susan Daimler, sell your companies to Zillow and be the next president of Zillow after you retire or move on.
The brand. And I think that there's a lot more that we can do through those brands, not only to grow audience and to grow a relevant audience, an audience that sticks. And I think that high intent audience is a really important quality indicator for our business, and we think that we do very well on that. But not only to grow that audience, but also to increasingly play a role to educate the public, particularly with today's news media agenda, I suppose, as the value of real estate professionals.
Now we've got an invasion of young people in Inman over the last 10 years. It started in the last recession when the young, new, innovative brokers, they went online and they said, what can I relate to? And they happened to relate to us more than they are, which was great. And what we think they did. And they're a big part of our community, but they're kind of I'd say now they're the Gen Xers, you know? And
hiring buyer's agent, we should expect that. I mean, it wasn't going to go up after the changes that we'll see in the industry. And about half of them said that the buyer's fee will go down. So I do think that there's a segment of the market that will skip a buyer's agent altogether and go directly to the listing agent. But time and time again, we've learned that buyers love their buyer's agent. They're going to work with them, and that's going to be the majority of cases still going forward. But buyers will be in the driver's seat. So agents will start competing on things like price, level of service, certainly their experience level. They'll start looking around for those types of things, and we'll start to see, like we already have, new models that are existing, like limited agency, a la carte services, offer writing shops.
But are those actually new models? Because isn't like assist to sell, help you sell been around since the 70s? Or I think of Foxtons or Purple Bricks that came over from the UK on a flat per transaction fee that went bankrupt in 24 months. Like, isn't there this thought process that Americans actually want what we describe as full service, somebody just to handle every part of the transaction?
I don't know if it'll work. I mean, if you remember Redfin back in 2005, that was our model that when we first debuted, where we had a call center basically, and we said, go to the open house, talk to the listing agent, then come back to us when you're ready to write the offer. Mm-hmm. There's a reason we don't do that anymore. Right. And so these aren't